You can tell her, you can tell her anything. She's a real good listener. You can tell her anything.
Yo, what's up? It's your girl, Father Longlegs. This is Teresa. You're listening to You Can Tell Me Anything. This is the podcast where comedians confess something they want to get off their chest. I'm actually really excited to have the guest I have today. She, you know her from Bravo's Summer House, and today I think it was just announced the news that she's going to be one of the hosts of the new show Chat Room on Bravo, and she also has a very funny podcast called Berning In Hell, which is randomly how I found you, even though I know all of your fans probably found you from TV to your podcast. And I'm just going to quickly read a tweet of hers and then introduce her because I really like this. Behind every woman, every great woman is a great ass. I very much enjoyed that. It's Hannah Berner.
Thanks for having me, Teresa.
Yes.
It's so funny because this is the first time we've ever met. Mm-hmm. And we also have just been low-key following each other. So I like to hear how you know me and how I kind of knew you.
Yeah, I can tell you. So because I used to listen to Nikki Lazer's podcast. I don't have Sirius, so I would have to listen to the bougie one. But I know you've done her podcast, and then I don't know if you've done. Was it Girls Gotta Eat? Definitely, I feel like you're floating around.
I've been touching different, sections of female podcasters for a bit. So it's
you're very funny online. So, but I think the first episode of your podcast I listened to was Caroline Calloway because I was like, I gotta know. And I just love that you interviewed her, and then I followed you, and you're very funny. So even though I wanted to, I think I secretly was like, let me see if she's funny, and I was hoping for you to not be funny, and then I was like, oh damn, she's funny. So then I was like, okay, cool, that's actually better. But you know how it is.
So funny. Oh, I love that. But I love that you looked at me with a critical eye, and you still were like, I like her. Because you went in not rooting, and I like that because I had to win you over, and that's the kind of affection that I like.
Well, there's a lot of influencers who are comedians in their bio, but you're a comedian, and you've done stand up. Maybe. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen you do stand up, but I've heard you talk about it. So I was like, okay, yeah, she's funny and cool and hot and is actually doing it. So
oh my God, thank you. I feel the same way about you because I think I feel like I was hooking up with a random comic, and I was stalking his profile, and somehow I was looking at videos he was making, and somehow I got into a weird YouTube wormhole, and you were acting in some small comedy video, and I was just, when you're just watching random comedy videos, and I remember looking at you and being like, oh, she looks stylish. I thought you were stylish for some reason, because you are. And then I clicked on you, and you had funny tweets, and I just love being surrounded by that kind of energy on my feed. And I feel like I might have followed you first. I don't know, but I just, that's how I found you.
I love that. You don't have to say who it is, but I'm so curious. It's so funny. That does check out. I started stand-up in New York, and when my first year of stand-up, I was dating a male comic who was a little ahead of me. So I feel like I was doing things but not stand-up, and it was around. But I really got my footing in LA. So I don't know most of the people now, but it would make sense if you're in New York and met someone and backstalked them and found me.
Yeah, I backstalked and I found
it would be a long time ago.
I know, it was a long time ago. And then it was fun because I was like, oh, what do these people look like now? And I was like, who's blown up from this video of it had 300 views on YouTube or something. And then you were kind of doing fun stuff. Also, I'm fascinated by the LA comedy scene because I'm in the New York, rat scene. So it's interesting to be oh, it's to be a comic in LA. So, yeah.
I feel like LA is always envious of New York. I just I like living here now, but I love New York. But it was a time of my life that probably will never come back in the same way. So I was very much early 20s classic, just a mess. So
New York will chew you up and spit you out, but that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Also, early 20s are disgusting anyway. Wait, I'm recording paranoid. Is it supposed to record on Zoom?
I'm recording. Don't worry, you're good.
Oh my God, thank you, because I will go 30 minutes without pressing record on people.
It's all good. I have it right here.
I'm projecting my trauma onto you. Sorry.
I do that all the time. But this will be a good way to get to know you. I like to start by asking for a good confession, just to have a positive note. So Hannah, is there something good you want to confess?
I think a positive confession right now is I actually like met a guy that I'm seeing, and I like, actually he's my boyfriend. I should I'm like kind of like
I
him.
love
No, like
that. I
we
can tell you're
live
the
together.
avoidant one. Okay, no.
Yeah, but he's older, and he's like, yeah, like I like this. I know what's happening. I'm good, and I don't mean to be like the cold-hearted bitch, but I'm like, I'm more fresh in terms of like not trusting people. But yeah, so I'm seeing someone new. That's my humble brag.
That's great. And especially during a pandemic, I feel like it's actually weirdly a good time. I low-key got in a relationship during quarantine as well. Someone I had started dating before, but not official till after. And I kind of think quarantine is a good time to heal trauma, but nobody's really talking about it. But it is like a time when you have to like face it, you know? So
Yeah, we're all stuck like alone with our own thoughts, and I
yeah.
think it's quarantine speeds up things, I think. So like if you hated your significant other, but like you lived in New York and you didn't have time to break up with them or whatever because you like were working too hard or whatever people's excuses are, now you're like stuck with them. You're either like, wow, this is so right for me and life is short and I want to get married and have babies, or you're like, I hate this person and I'm kicking them out.
Yeah, if you don't even know what's gonna happen next month, why would you waste time? That makes sense. I also think I feel like all the bad things that feel like they're coming to a head would have just taken longer. I'm talking personally, obviously. I'm not talking about like
Yeah.
like the global things, but just
We could
like
mass generalize, but yeah.
but just the idea of like if I was out and about, I could do more like go out and drink or go out and party, and then like prolong a processing period. But now I'm like, well, I can't go anywhere, so I guess I have to just have this conversation tonight.
I think life can like so easily get in the way or like distract you from like things that are happening. Like, those friends where you're like, how are they still with this person? But during quarantine, you're just like looking at yourself in the mirror the whole day because you have nothing better to do. And you're just like facing your truth. And I think it's been actually healthy for people.
That's a good way of putting it. I think I'm that friend for myself. I'm always like, why are you? No, I'm happy now, but I feel like a lot in my past was like, how did I end up here again? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
But I want to start with, usually I do the game at the end, but I feel like this is a good intro to you and it's fun, and I want to just to play it first. And it kind of relates to what we're talking about. So you have some tweets that will start with like, do I like him or ...
Oh my God, they're my favorite.
Which I love. They're so super funny. So I have a game inspired by that. Each of these scenarios are inspired by one of your tweets. And
oh my God.
they're just, okay, so I'm going to call this like deal makers or good triggers. It's kind of like, I'm going to start with something this guy did that's bad, and then end with something he did that's inspired by a tweet, and then just tell me if you would still like him or still date him. And then bonus points if you can guess which tweet it's inspired by. Okay. I think it'll make sense when I read it. All right.
Yeah.
This is the first one. He's flaky online and has rescheduled your first date 3 weeks in a row, but you finally meet up and go back to his place. It's a pre-war Lower East Side apartment with exposed brick, central AC, and it's right above a bagel shop, and it has rooftop access.
Oh my God. I feel like I would definitely continue to give him a chance because exposed brick makes my cookie wet. It's so funny because I did a show in LA in Dynasty Typewriter, and I did the exposed brick joke, and it just didn't land. And I'm like, that is my OG joke. But it's funny because my friend after was like, people don't have exposed brick in LA, and if they do, like, they're in a crack den, like their house is not fully developed. And so I realized, anyway, yeah. So I feel like everyone's flaky in New York. So if he has a nice apartment, we might as well see how he got there.
True.
What he's like.
The nice apartment in New York goes way more of a long way than LA, because I think there's just way more space in LA. But I think, that exposed brick, that's a New York thing, but I loved it. I had a loft in Brooklyn with that, and we were not happy in terms of like money or anything, but we were happy throwing parties there.
Oh yeah, and you put little like lights and stuff, and it looks cool. Oh yeah.
Okay, here's the next one. He doesn't answer his texts, but his sheets are always clean. His clothes are actually in drawers or in the closet, not on the floor. And he's never worn the same shirt twice in a week.
Ew, I hate him. Like, I hate that man.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's funny because I'm a slob and I'm dating a slob right now. And I feel like my love language is quality time and like communication. So if you're not responding to my texts and you care more about how you look in your image than me, like, you can go fuck yourself.
Oh my God. Wow. That's another layer I didn't even think about. I was inspired by, do I like him or does he just smell like fresh laundry? But I guess it was just a smell thing for you, not a clean thing for you.
I'm actually like obsessed with scents. Like, it was during quarantine, I didn't have sex for 6 months, and then I went to this party and I straight up asked a guy if I could smell his hair.
Oh my God.
Like, I just was like, I need to smell pheromones.
I'm a big smell person too, and sometimes I think a lot of like people who are more sensitive to smells can hold on to trauma more because you're so reminded by things all the time.
That's interesting. That's like that Old Spice commercial that's like, memory is the closest thing tied to scent, or scent is the closest thing tied to memory. That's how I learned that from Old Spice.
There's less seasons here, but when I lived in New York, like every like August, September, there's a special like it's more of a feeling, but like there are like smells of fall if you ignore the trash. But
it's like the dew and like a little bit of like a wet leaf type smell.
It always reminds me of, I moved to New York when I was 17 to go to college there. It always reminds me of like being this like bushy tailed, like wide-eyed 17-year-old, like moving into the dorms like every fall. It's like,
oh my God, I love how you like read my trauma instantly, just being like, yeah, I get you. you like smells. And actually, I am prone to remembering, like, but that's what I love about New York City too, and LA is probably similar in some ways, but like every block in New York after living there my whole life, I have a different memory of a different time.
Yeah, that's, well, you don't have that here in LA because we can just get in our cars and it's like mostly you're on the highway. It's like, I guess like, I have a lot of memories.
Reminds me of every day this week.
Every audition I was late for. Okay, here's the next one. He's late to all your dates and you've never finished in bed with him, but you've written 10 minutes of new material in the time you've dated and it's crushing on stage.
Oh my God. I feel like I care more about my mental health right now than just like good jokes. And I feel like I don't even know where I get half my material. So I feel like I like to take it and leave. Like I get what I want and I'm not going to like push it. And honestly, the best stuff comes like immediately. And if you have to like wait too long to keep it coming, that's what I'm thinking. I just like can't stay with guys if they're not like benefiting me. Yeah. It's like, I'd rather be single unless if you're like a positive influence in my life.
That's a good way to put it. And you said you'd rather have it happen right away than wait. And that's also how I feel about finishing in bed. If a guy's not going to do it, I'm just you're not going to get it. I can tell. Oh, so it applies to both. But I think that's a healthy answer. Don't date someone for the material, but if it comes with material, why not?
But yeah, exactly. Like if it's bad, I'm always like, that was a great story. So we'll move on.
That was inspired by, do I like him or does he just inspire my tweets? Okay, I have one more serious one, or one real one, and one just very jokey one. Do you want them both, or do you want to just pick one?
Both.
Okay. So he met your parents in cargo shorts, but on the day of a big audition you're nervous about, he offers to drive you there, and when you get out of the car, he says, "I'm proud of you."
Oh, I'm so into him. I want to date him. I actually don't like guys who are like overly obsessed with what they wear. I like guys who look like they just wear stuff their mom got them, and they just wear it. And I guess it's like that, like, I don't want a guy taking more time to get ready. And I just feel like a guy being proud of you, like, I'll fuck him with cargo shorts on. Like, I don't care. I'll wear his cargo shorts.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
You can wear it every day.
I've never thought about that way, but that's true. If he's like the mom thing, I'm like, wow, that's a much sweeter way. I just thought of it as like, oh, he doesn't care because he's entitled. But the idea of like, oh, he's very sweet and innocent, like his mom dressed him. That's a better way.
I feel like New York, a lot of guys don't have style, or the New York style is actually obnoxious. It's like all like black. Well, that's very like Manhattan is very like black or whatever. If a guy is overly stylized, I guess maybe I'm just like intimidated by it, or I'm just like, I think it's cute when a guy doesn't have style, and then I can manipulate and control him and make him into the perfect style guy. I love when like the guy I started dating, I knew I liked him because immediately I was like, that pink red color shirt you wear. Oh. And he's like, what? And I'm like, never wear it again.
Oh my gosh.
You're mine now.
Wow. My first boyfriend, I did have to tell him not to wear shorts to meet my parents, but that's because he like would wear Hawaiian shirts out, and I was like, I'm gonna just like put a little bit of bumpers on this meeting.
Yeah, I love you, we're just gonna tone it down. You're at a 10, I want you at a 6.
That tweet was, do you know which one that is?
That was, oh my God, did I write something about cargo shorts? I don't even remember.
No, it's because I'm going with the good. So the good stuff is inspired by your your tweet. So do I like him or do I just want my dad to tell him he's proud of me?
Oh.
It's kind of a reverse engineered deal maker instead of deal breakers, because we all know the things people don't like. Okay, here's the really joke one, but it's inspired by a tweet, so maybe you can guess which tweet it is. He quotes QAnon, but you've been stranded on a quarantine cruise ship for 9 days and the only thing left to drink is sangria, and it's made with melons and cranberry juice cocktail. He has a bottle of water and offers it to you.
Oh, this is do I like him or am I just dehydrated?
Yeah.
I love that because it like plays off of the idea of like just being thirsty, but also it's like, you know, when people are like, are you actually hungry or do you just need to drink water? And then I was just like, oh, do I need to get this attention from this guy or do I just need to take a sip of water and get my life together? But then it inspires more tweets where you're like, does 2020 just need to drink water and then they'll be better? Like, I just hate how so much of life people are like, I'll go to therapy and they're like, you don't drink enough water. And I'm like, that can't just be the answer.
I feel like, okay, your friends are probably slightly different from mine because I've never had friends go, are you really hungry or do you need to drink water? And I feel like that's how I know your friends are very hot and famous. They're like, we don't eat, we just lounge at the beach, which is fine. But I'm like, I don't think anyone's ever been like, drink water, don't eat.
I have like reality TV friends who like their faces just like don't move. And then I have like my comedy friends who are just like make fun of all those kinds of people. So it's like a very interesting mix. I mean, that's probably like LA, like one corner is a certain type of person. Like next corner, you see like a total different scene.
Oh, for sure. I'm very much like, no judgment. If I could live that life, I would. I for sure put pictures of my butt on the internet, but I know that I know where I am. I'm a funny girl and that's fine.
Well, on Summer House, the show I'm on, everyone is always like, oh my God, I love Hannah. She's the relatable one. And I'm like, does that mean I'm the ugly one? Like, are you guys saying I'm the not good looking one at the show? But I've come to terms with it's more complicated than that. So
yeah, it's a good thing.
Women are complex. We're multifaceted.
Yeah, we are. They just want to put us in a box and then they're like, oh shit, you don't fit. But that brings me to, okay, so this is a confession pod. So I have to ask you, Hannah, is there anything you would like to tell me?
Oh, so is this like the confession?
Yeah. I mean, if you're not ready, we can just read more of your tweets, but
that was actually a perfect segue. Also, like the way to my heart is like when someone says they like a tweet or they're like Berning In Hell. So I'm feeling like very close to you right now. Like you understand me. And you talked about my trauma, so I also feel understood. But women are super complex, and I feel like I actually talked to Nikki Glazer a lot about this, how like when you can start talking about like pooping and farting in front of your friends, it's when you like bond with them, and it's also like a confidence thing. Because I'm very open, but like I couldn't be like talking about pooping. I just felt like it was so gross, and I would like be gross if I did it. And then I was like, no, whatever I'm most scared of, I have to own. So I want to confess that I've actually farted on a guy's face when he was going down on me.
Oh my God. I love this. We haven't had anything like this, but it's so relatable, and I'm glad we're talking about it.
I'm glad you found it relatable because I feel like when it happened, the way he reacted, everything, it was like it never happened to anyone before and it was unheard of. And I'm like, it seems so easy to fart when a guy's going down on you. First of all, your legs are bent a lot of the time. So you're already in a squat position, which means, you know, when you're trying to orgasm, you kind of like push a little, like you're forcing it a little. It is so easy to fart. And like, I don't know, some people might have more control of their butthole, but like, yeah, I farted in his face. And when that, I feel like farting.
Well, how long had you guys, okay, wait, set the stage a little.
Yes,
were you guys in a serious relationship or is this a date? Like, did
we
you know
were
him
like
well?
a serious hookup where
Okay.
like I didn't feel like I was emotionally available, but I could tell that like he was super into me and we had like a lot of trust and we were like.
It wasn't like the first time you weren't nervous around him.
No,
okay.
We were very close, and I was feeling when it happened, I was like, there were 3 ways we could go about it. We could either like just keep going and he could be turned on by just like the raw animalisticness of us, whatever. There's just air, fluids, things coming out of me. B, he could laugh, acknowledge it, and then keep going. Or C, he can give up. And it was C.
Wow.
C happened, but he like was like, did you fart? Laughed, and then like lost his boner for the rest of the night. But I thought it was the funniest thing ever because he reacted like that. And I just felt like in that moment, I'm like, it has to have happened to other girls, but no one talks about it.
I'm sure. I mean, I relate to getting embarrassed because I still feel a little bit like nervous about talking about poop, but I also am aware that it's fine. But
Yes.
I think, yeah, that's really interesting because I've never had that specific thing happen. I've definitely made like, you know, queef noises and all that, and I will laugh. But now I don't. I used to get embarrassed, and now I don't. Like now I just go, you know, if it does end things, then it's up to them to tell me because I'm not like if I'm still good.
For me, I'm like a queef is adorable. Like my biggest, I feel like maybe I'm just like need to change my diet, but I'm like the number one thing. Like I feel like I'm over obsessed with like where my bloat is in the moment because like most of the time, the only time I won't really want to have sex is like when I'm like this is going to be a gassy mess and I can't do this.
Yeah, that's when I lie down. No, I've had that. I've had that like after a big dinner. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I want them to hang. But early in relationships and earlier in my 20s, I would find an excuse for them to leave. Which now I'm like, that's stupid. I could now just be like, I'm full and they'll like get it. But I used to be like, oh, they can't be around. What if I have to like poop or worse, diarrhea?
Because I don't have sex like holding in a fart the whole time. That's so
God,
uncomfortable. No. And it's not, it's not. If they knew I was uncomfortable, they wouldn't be happy.
Well, here's my question. What would you, okay, we have two questions. One is in the moment, were you thinking like, oh, I have to let it out? And then did you think about this or just happened and then you had this thought?
It just happened. Okay. Like I was not in my control. It happened. And I was like trying to orgasm and I did not orgasm and neither did he. And then afterward, I was like, I have to tell this on podcast now. And that was the positive part of it. Oh but I do think you're right. Like if a guy is grossed out because you farted, I mean, it was funny because it was on his face. He's not the one. And maybe that's how you can test it. Maybe girls should do it more to see how much a guy's into them. But
yeah, there you go. Start the fart movement. The new no makeup is fart on his face.
But I do know that I've been in relationships before where I was self-sabotaging it or like I was just over it and I would fart in front of him because I didn't care. And like it just wasn't as sexy. Like we lost the like sexy vibe. So I do enjoy like pretending I don't fart when I'm dating a guy. But then like I'm seeing someone now and he just left and I was like, miss you, but happy I can fart now just as a joke.
It is like, I think it's interesting because I've definitely heard that and I'm on both sides. So I'm with you in that I think you should be comfortable, but that doesn't mean you need to fart in front of someone. Like I think it shouldn't be the thing that ends your relationship, but also like, just like if I'm hanging out with my best friend and I know I'm gonna have to fart, I like won't on purpose fart in front of them. But I know it's not going to ruin our friendship.
So right. Like if I'm with my best friend, I'm still like, if I accidentally fart, it's not the end of the world. And she'll be like, oh my God, ew, did you fart? And I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Yes. But like, I shouldn't do any more than that with like my significant other.
Yeah. There's still respect. Like, but.
Yeah, respect them.
But my other question is, what would you do if that happened to you? Because I think that's how that's helped me get through like feeling insecure about my body. I had sex so late in life. Like I didn't lose my virginity till almost out of college. And I was just so insecure about doing things wrong. And then what helped me was like, oh, would I think this was gross if this guy did it to me? And so I'm curious, has that ever happened? And would you have found it gross if it hasn't happened, but it did?
I think it was really funny. And I would like laugh about it and then be like, want to make him feel comfortable because like I actually don't care. And then in my head I'd be like, okay, now that he's done it, if I do it, it won't be as bad. But then it's actually funny too because we complain a lot of as girls being like, oh, I can't fart in front of them, it's so hard. But then I know like the guy I was seeing, he was like, I need a fart, and I've been like holding it in. Aww. And it was actually kind of cute. And I think we're actually a little more similar than different. But I also, it's kind of new, but I know there comes a point where like guys just start farting all the time. And I'm like kind of envious of that freedom, and it's still like masculine and like cool and nonchalant. But if a girl does it, she like loses her sex appeal. So I'm working through that.
It's interesting because I'm trying to think now, because when you said the thing about the animalistic, I never thought about it that way. But I'm wondering if I think in the same way a lot of guys are like, oh, I love when a girl's in t-shirt and jeans. I think what it is they want to see a side that they feel like nobody's seen. So sometimes like if you never fart and then you do and they know it's like they've earned it, I could see a guy being like, oh, that's really hot. But it's not because the fart's hot. I think it's that they know for sure that you're comfortable around them. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, guys, I guess, let me know if this is the correct.
You're right. Like respect it. And I think I just hate those relationships where someone's like, yeah, I've never farted in front of my boyfriend. We've been together for 12 years, and I'm just like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of obstacles have you had to
Oh
overcome
my
to do
God.
that?
Yeah,
Or maybe
I
like
hate
I
to
just
see
feel
what
like,
you do when you have an unwanted pregnancy.
I
Hold
do think
it in. Don't let
hold
it.
it in. And it doesn't feel good. And I also think maybe I just have to take like laxative, no, not laxative, lactate pills.
Well, if it's a diet thing,
Lactate
yeah, but
pills.
I think you don't need to be so hard on yourself for one fart. But it's
It's
interesting
not
because
so
I
fun.
think I also hate those couples, and it's not because I'm so comfortable farting either, but I think it's because they like to make it seem like that's the secret. And I'm like, there's no way that's the secret. Like
Oh, that's not the
it's
secret.
not
And
the
also, it's
secret.
like putting like an unrealistic standard to
Mhm.
farting with your partner. And I do think that like you just don't want to feel like if you do it, it's the end of the world. Like, you know, that it's
Yeah.
just like the fear and anxiety of it that I just hate.
Yeah, that's a good
And
way
it's
of
a
putting it.
natural human function.
Totally.
And I'm like, yeah.
I have one with my boyfriend is very comfortable, like not in a gross way, like I don't have to hear or smell anything, but the early on when we were first dating, not exclusive, one time we were just hanging out for a long time and he was like, okay, I gotta go shit, and then just like went to the bathroom, and I was like so disarmed, but then also like, oh cool, like it was like a moment where I was like, oh cool, like I didn't know we were that
It's actually like
comfortable.
a form of intimacy to like
Yeah.
say that.
I was like, I didn't know we
Yeah.
were that comfortable, but now I feel like I trust him more to tell me like I'm so anxious that I'm always like, are you uncomfortable? Is something wrong? Like, oh, you're not saying that I'm making you mad. So the fact that he was so comfortable made me feel a lot better that if something was wrong, he would tell me. So it kind of,
Yeah, I'm just like trying to end the whole like girls don't poop, girls don't fart thing. Like I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's cute. And like guys love that joke being like girls don't fart. And I'm like, this isn't like 1980. Can we stop? Like I am really get annoyed by it.
yeah.
And then I like
Do
look at
guys
them like
still say that really? I mean, I guess I just feel
I
like
feel
I've
like
gotten
so
way
many
more like
lame
queer
dudes.
since I moved to LA. I was very much in like I was a sorority and I was like very much like not at all I was very much in straight culture in New York and
Mhm.
I've only gotten more in the queer culture in LA. So I don't really feel like I'm around guys like that much now, but
Oh my
yeah.
God. Yeah, that is just a specific kind of dude that like I need to punch in the face. But that's when you like look at them really sexy and you're just like, I took a massive dump before I got here. And if that offends you, like I'm sorry, but like I'm still getting laid. So
I
go
know
fuck
guys
yourself.
that will like send each other pictures of their poop and I'm like, see, that's gross. Like, why are you doing
Yeah,
that?
that's just like I love content creation, but that is like yeah, not
Everyone
okay.
is shitting out content.
LA is swipe up for my latest shit.
I almost feel like, you know what? I've never thought about it till just now, but I'm like, is that like the like guys who need to send dick pics to girls, like, but they can't send a dick pic to a friend, so they send their shit to their guy friends. There has to be a Venn diagram, and it has to be a circle. That's probably.
Yes, yes. I love that. I love that. They can't send dick pics to guys because that would like cross some type of line, but they still want to feel like they're like revealing a part of themselves.
Yeah, it's like a little kid who needs their picture put on the refrigerator, even though it sucks. It's like, can you tell
Yeah.
me this is good? It's like, oh my god.
I also think that I like will bond with friends. Like I joke that I have like nervous poops, and like when I tell a girl like, "Oh my god, I just had a nervous poop," and she like laughs or like is like, "Oh my god, that happens to me," I immediately feel so much closer to her.
I get nervous poops too, and I didn't used to know that was a thing. And like before, I used to dance, and before like competitions and stuff, I would just
Oh
get
yeah.
so nervous. And then eventually, I realized like, oh, like you're fine. You're not gonna poop on stage, so just get over it. But I used to always be like, I gotta
Yeah.
go now, and then I have to like take off my whole costume, and it's like it's just
Oh God. But it's also like it's not even something you ate or anything. It's just like your body being anxious and like feeling
hmm
like
it's fight or
it's like a
flight.
physical.
Like
Yeah. Yes.
animals do it. I've seen videos. I don't know. I used to love watching animal videos where like I've seen one where this dog gets scared and then he poops in the house and
Yeah, they'll poop
immediately
themselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
We were
they're like I
literally
gotta get light so I could run.
yeah, that's the animalistic part. And I guess like I feel like with love, like you want to be like your 100% like rawest self.
hmm
Even like in terms of like shaving my legs and stuff, there's been like two types of guys. There's guys who were like, I'm so grossed out if your legs aren't shaven, or guys who were like, I couldn't give less of a fuck how much hair you have on your legs, which is like where I like am more attracted to and they're more
Yeah,
attracted to me. But then it like I want to shave when I feel like it.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
also
yeah. It's not
like
like you won't need someone who's like you have to always have hair. I think it kind of comes back to the guy's security because the more I think about guys who need their like girlfriends to be a certain way, the more I realize like they're so insecure that their girlfriend's going to reflect on them. And so like if a guy's like, I need your legs to be shaven, I feel like that's a guy who's like, oh, it's going to make me feel like I'm not masculine because my girlfriend has hairy legs, which like I don't imagine it really makes that big of a difference. Like,
no, I think you're right. Oh wait.
Oh, it's
sorry,
all good.
My friend's FaceTiming me. Decline.
Wow, honored. Yeah, like you're giving me inspiration now to be more open, because even like I'm still sort of I'm going on a trip with my boyfriend for first time. We're going on a very like small, like 10 people in this wedding that for one of my best friends that we're being careful about, but like it's the first time we're going anywhere. Going to Tahoe, so just driving. But it's the first time we're gonna like go somewhere and stay in like stay together. And I'm like, even though we've like stayed at each other's places, I get a lot of anxiety traveling with friends too. Like when I'm on tour, I'm always like, when can I poop next? Like, because I don't like pooping in hotel rooms, because it's always like the door's right there. I always have to figure out when we're going to be in a lobby or something. And you're giving me inspiration to be like, you know what? Maybe I just won't think about it and I'll just do what happens.
Or just be super open about it and be like, honestly, like this is fucking up my pooping schedule and everyone's to fucking like chill the fuck out, and like I'm gonna poop and please go away because I can't like have people near the door right now. Like I will like joke and I'll like walk out of a bathroom and I'll be like, no one go in there, like just to like joke and embrace it and make people laugh, because it's like such a huge part of living and functioning, especially with like stand-up. Like you want to be your most comfortable when you get on stage. I'm not gonna like not take a shit beforehand because I'm afraid someone's gonna know that I pooped, like, and then it, God forbid, affects my set because I'm afraid I'm gonna poop myself.
And then even if they didn't know, it should be fine. It is like, what is the worst thing? Yeah, it's, man, that is like, we hold so much shame, but it's every day that you would have to have that shame if you don't let it go. So it's like, why?
And I think it would stem from my own insecurity of being like, oh, am I not feminine enough? And I think I realized like, I'm just me. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm like too feminine or masculine or whatever. It's just, this is Hannah and it's all in me.
I think that's a good way of putting it. I used to, I mean, I identify as like bisexual, but I didn't know till I was a lot older. And so I used to struggle a lot with like presentation, because I did pageants, I was a cheerleader. I really like feeling feminine. It makes me feel sexy, but it's not because I want to be like a girl, if that makes sense. Like, I think gender, I mean, I'm obviously going to have a opinion that's very complicated because I don't even quite know, I feel like I'm always evolving, but my personal feeling of myself is like, it's not about being like, this is girly, this is boyish. It's like, this is all me. And instead of categorizing it, we should just be more examples of like how it actually doesn't matter, because I am a woman and I'm all those things. So therefore those things can't be masculine because I'm,
100%. Well, like any characteristic being called masculine is like a social construction. I hate to get like too like mathematical about it, but it's like someone decided that like being funny is masculine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not a thing. But like in the past, like men were the ones who were on TV and who were making jokes. Mm-hmm. And that's why I also love the internet, because it like women could just be hilarious without like a gatekeeper of a man having to be like, oh, you're allowed to be on the show or not. So I like kind of loved, just changing the idea of like, what is a feminine or masculine quality. And it's funny because like, I've never had to change that stuff for like the kind of guys who are attracted to me. Cause like I have girls who will like kind of shame me, kind of being like, you don't dress feminine enough, like you don't act feminine enough. And it's like, well, guys still want to fuck me. So like maybe that's your insecurity, that you feel like you have to be super feminine for a guy to like you. But like, find a guy who likes you, not because like you have pink nail polish.
It is most oftentimes girls, especially like in big girl groups. Like, were you ever in a sorority?
No, I was actually I was a tennis player, so like my tennis team was kind of like
you're cool for real, not for money. Like the rest of us.
I went to Wisconsin.
You didn't pay for your friends.
It was more like athletic. But I understand that scene.
I mean, I have joked because I wasn't really big at NYU, but I'm from California, so a lot of my friends at home were. So that's sort of what drew me to it. And then I ended up dropping. But I do know that world a bit, and I feel like a lot of the judgment of fitting in a box came from the other women. And not all of them. Like some of my best friends I did meet in that world, but as a whole, like there's this like feeling that like if you don't fit in and we're all working so hard, it's like not fair if you get something out of it. You know, if you if you start dating someone and you're in a healthy relationship and they accept you, it's like, oh, that's not fair, because like you didn't have to hide that part of you, you know.
You're so right. I mean, also like I will sometimes like, because I think I grew up as an athlete, I just like wearing makeup wasn't something that I like always did. And I remember like even on this reality show I was on, Summer House, the first season, like this one girl who like I'm good friends with, and we've like our friendships have evolved, but like she got a boob job, like she has stuff done to her face, she's like platinum hair, blonde hair, and she was like kind of coming at me for like not being feminine enough. And I'm like, I don't know, like is it your own insecurities that like I haven't altered my appearance and I'm just kind of like just being me, and if that's not like good enough for you, like you're not trying to fuck me, so like why do I care what you think about me?
That's interesting, because the way you described it, like at first you're like, yeah, that makes sense, a girl who cares about her looks would do a lot of work, but at the base of it, someone who says you're not feminine enough but then changed a bunch of stuff about them is showing that they don't think they're feminine enough, because they changed a bunch of stuff.
Well, it's funny because then when I called her out on the show, she was like, I'm a tomboy, like I've been a tomboy my whole life. And I'm like,
I'm just one of the guys. Like, I just don't get along with girls. I don't know why. There's so much drama.
She literally says I'm a girl's guy, and I was like, I'm gonna be calm. But yeah, I do think like she was projecting her stuff onto me, and I think instead of girls being like, wait, you're not playing by the rules that like society has told us, be like, okay, let's like start breaking our fucking rules. That's why I did have a tweet in quarantine where it was like, because everyone was like not getting their nails done all the time and like not getting like laser, like hair removal, and like not dyeing their hair all the time. And I was like, isn't this nice? Can we all just like keep doing this? And like people will still like us. Like I swear. I just hate like we already have the wage gap. Plus we're putting like thousands of dollars in a year to like try to look a type of way that isn't even natural. I guess I'm just envious that guys can just like the fact even before I go on stage or before I do like a serious interview, I have to like put a whole face on of makeup, and it pisses me off. And yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. One time I was like, because I do still like I think it's okay to be critical of it, but also like it. Like I'll admit, yeah. I mean, my hair is, people can't see, but people who know me, I've dyed my hair, I'm wearing jewelry and makeup. But I also agree with you. Like we shouldn't have to, but it's okay that we've now. Like, now that that's a system, I'm also not trying to be like, well, fuck everything, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
I don't like being told what I have to do. Like,
yes.
Like, randomly, I was going to brunch with, like, the guy I'm seeing, and I, like, put on this, like, kind of funky, like, red, pink lipstick. I was super bright, and he's like, why are you putting makeup on? Like, it's whatever. And I was like, I don't know, I just want to feel, like, vibing today. It's my vibe today. And
it's like, whatever. I feel like that's a guy who, I mean, you are doing it for him, but he's probably not realizing that sometimes you just want to look good for the world too. Like, or you like it how you look, and it's not.
I just I wanted to like, I hadn't gone outside in public for a while because like obviously quarantine. And I was like, I kind of want to look like I have like fashion, like style, like I'm stylish today. And it's true, I wasn't doing it for him, but, and then I like put on a leather jacket and he's like, okay, I'm dating. We're in Greece right now, and I'm like, I don't understand my aesthetic, and it's fine.
I did the other day. I mean, we're still not open in LA, I've been a lot of like just like at home dinners, but I a couple of weeks ago I just put on a leather skirt and really dressed like to wear like a choker, like 90s choker, and like you know those tattoo ones, and a scrunchie.
Oh my god!
And I was just like, I'm just gonna dress up. Like it was like Friday night. Usually we're just like in PJs. I'm like, I'm just gonna dress up. I'm like, why not?
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's fun. So it's this balance of like, I think I just don't like when someone tells me what I have to do to be like accepted in a type of way.
Yeah, I think that's.
But I also don't want to like not wear makeup and people to make a big deal about it. Like I don't want people. Oh my god,
you're so brave, or like that too.
Yeah, like I'm so brave, and it's like no.
Yeah, well, I think because I'm also in film, and I used to do more producing, and so I would like invest in equipment when I could. And I remember one time, this was a few years ago, but when I was first in LA, like making some more money doing like industry work, and being like, oh, I should invest in something. And I actually had the thought, like, should I buy a new camera or should I get my hair dyed? And I was like, fuck this, because I did want both. I was like, and obviously I've since been able to make it work, but I'm like, damn, how much money have I spent making my hair blonde, like wanting to get eyelash extensions, like that I could have been putting into equipment.
Well, it's so, oh my God, the eyelash extension fad is wild because I do have to say that like I am fortunate in that like I do have good eyelashes. Like I naturally have like I'm Italian, I have like long, dark, curly eyelashes, so I can't be like, I don't get it. Like maybe if I had like smaller eyelashes, I would love it. But I feel like once people started to get it, it started to just be like if you didn't have it, you looked like naked. And then like people without it were like going crazy. And it's so like if no one got it, no one would think it's a thing, if that makes sense. It's even
Yeah.
like the lip plump, like everyone getting these like lip fillers. And it's like, can we just stop? Can we just stop making that like the norm that you have to always look like you have the most voluptuous huge lips all the fucking time? Like, can we just stop?
Well, the secret is eventually, because it's like you should do what makes you feel good, but eventually what happens when everyone's the same, because it's a fad, is like you're always going to get someone, the guy who's like, I really like that you didn't do that thing. Because there always is natural beauty. So no matter what, you'll be able to stand out. The eyelash thing, I feel like I've never, this is a confession because this is where I feel like women judge me, but guys I know don't care, is I didn't want to keep doing eyelash extension because it's so expensive. And I was like, this isn't worth it. And I don't need to do this. But I liked how it looked. So I got like fake eyelashes, which a lot of the newer trends just look fake, but you have to put it on quite often. And I was wearing them like to auditions and to dates, and guys can't tell the difference.
No.
But girls can. Girls would be like, oh, you got extensions. And then I'd be like, well, I'm not going to lie. That's like very much too much of a lie. So then I would have to be like, no, they're fake. But
My friend
guys
recently
would not
got
ask.
these magnet ones,
Oh,
and she
yeah.
just puts it on, and they like actually look the same as extensions, and it's like way healthier for you. It's not as invasive. It's way cheaper. So yeah, it's like whatever makes you feel sexy, as long as you don't feel like you're like you have to do it for the man.
Yeah.
Or you like have to do it for like the rule book.
I liked how it looked, but I just knew if I was around girls, they would be asking a lot of questions because they would want to know like the experience and where it got them if they were real, and if they weren't, which they weren't, they're gonna be like, oh, like so. Then I was like, I don't want to, like now girls know what it takes to put on fake eyelashes. Now they're imagining me going to CVS, buying a bunch of Ardells, and doing it every day, and I'm like, I don't want that. But like
so
men
funny
didn't know the difference, so I got to like whenever I was going on dates with just guys, I'd be like, put it on the eyelashes. They can't tell.
Wait, so when you're dating like guys versus girls, do you have like slightly different like aesthetic or like style, or find yourself in different habits of upkeeping yourself?
Yeah, interesting. I feel like I get more nervous getting dressed up for girls because they do like things like the eyelashes. They can tell
They
more.
know what's happening.
And if they really like it, they'll be like, "Where'd you get that?" Like they'll want to know. So I like it's a little bit harder to trick them. Not that I'm tricking guys, but guys, you just want to
Guys
feel
can't
good.
tell if you got a haircut. Like if you cut 4 inches off, they wouldn't know.
With men, I feel like for me, it's more about how I feel, and then that will come off. So it's like I do want to look good because if I look what I think is good, it'll feel good. But with women, it's sometimes a little more like, what is this person going to like? Like, so it's a little bit more.
Oh my God, it's so interesting and so confusing.
Yeah. I think I need to get over that too. I haven't dated as many women as I've dated men because I came out later in life. So I feel like that's maybe more of an adolescent point of view.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like you're a little more judgmental of yourself because you're not like fully like confident yet in that like identity or something.
Yeah, I think of that sometimes, especially with bisexual or like dual identities, or even if you came out late in life. It's people often feel like they're late bloomers, but it's really because like imagine like the first time I saw a dick, I was a teenager and I didn't know what to do. So whenever there's women who are like, I like women, but I'm like scared to have sex with a woman, but I know I like them. Like, well, were you scared the first time you had sex with a guy? Like, it's okay. Like, you probably will be scared because it's the first time. It's not because girls are scary. It's just like, it's new.
And it's also weird because like you coming out later, like it's not like the second you come out, you've become this new person. Like if you've always been that person, it's just like exploring how you present yourself.
Yeah. And also the world is more adult. So like people have experience. Whereas in high school, everyone's kind of like learning. So you don't feel like behind,
I think it's funny too because I get in these conversations and it's interesting talking to you because I am straight, but I'm okay with like presenting as like I like presenting like wearing like boyish clothes or like just not really like having a gender sometimes. And I haven't like deeply thought about it too much, but I think sometimes girls will like don't like that I'm like not fitting into like the completely straight girl norm. But it's also like I grew up always playing sports, and I grew up in certain it was just like environmental factors that might have added to it. And also I grew up in Brooklyn where like it was always like being different was cool. Like, where I think some places, if everyone is like very similar, you more easily just want to look like everyone else and be like everyone else. So it was like more embraced for me to like dress however the fuck I wanted when I was a kid and stuff.
Where in Brooklyn did you grow up?
I grew up in Park Slope.
Oh, wow, cool. I
So
feel
like
like it's also, I think it goes back to like how a community identifies, like what values they identify. I feel like in Brooklyn, like being tough and being smart are valued traits in both genders, but in some societies or cultures, those are masculine traits. So I could see how that would make you feel like, oh, in certain circles, they see me as more masculine. But in like, if you're living in Brooklyn, like you gotta get tough, you gotta get smart.
I think you kind of nailed it. You're so smart because it's more like I never valued my looks. So it's not that like I'm more masculine. It's just like I'm not caring as much about my looks because in Brooklyn, like it was very about like, like how I was doing, and my family too. They never were like, oh, you're a princess, or like, oh, you're so pretty. It was always like, how are her grades? How is she doing in sports? Like, those are like the two most important things.
Do you have siblings?
I have one younger brother.
Oh, okay. Oh, because I like a lot of girls who play sports who grew up in the way that you're talking about often have older brothers. So I was just curious. But I'm also the oldest, and I
and I feel like my dad was kind of like my older brother. Like he was like we did like a lot of stuff together, and he was kind of my coach. But I do think it's true. It's like whatever your society valued. Like if I grew up with my parents being like, "You're so pretty," then that's what I attach my ego to. And I think it's more or less like I guess the most masculine thing about me is that I don't sexualize myself that much in terms of looks. Like even my Instagram, like I don't love posting photos of myself. I think like what energy am I putting to the world? Like I want to try to make people laugh, and then like just because of my career, people have been like, you have to put your face out there more. You have to put your face out there. So I've been doing it, but it's not like an enjoyable thing for me.
I understand that feeling, but I this is what I think. I haven't gotten to it yet, but what I'm working on is being accepted for the whole thing. And I think what it is society puts so much emphasis on looks for women, especially if you're in the media, that you're trying to draw away from it. But I think it's okay to be proud of the looks, but we're trying to catch up where it's like, look at both. So then you're telling them not to look. But like, cause sometimes I do this. I like putting pictures up, but then I always feel like I have to counter it with a really stupid caption or like add a joke immediately. And the reality is like, I want you to think I'm hot and funny, but I don't want to be judged, or you can judge, but I just want you to look at both. And that's okay. But I don't know. It's very complicated to be a woman.
But I do love being like such very multifaceted. Like the industry wants to be like, oh, are you like a funny girl? Are you like the hot one? And lately I'm very into just like power poses. Like I just like, I will thought squat every pose or do like some kind of like masculine power pose with like a sexy outfit showing my ass or my waist or something.
Have you ever worn a suit to a wedding? I feel like you would love it. I started doing that and I love it so much.
Oh my God, I love that.
Like a hot tailored suit like that, like you feel good and look good in, but like it's like what, I don't know. I mean, it is like not to be like continue presenting queer, but we wear pants all the time, but for some reason, overwhelmingly at weddings, women are still expected to wear dresses. And
I mean, I'm obsessed, especially for fall. Like an oversized blazer with like shoulder pads is like everything, and like a power suit of like a cool like pastel color or something. I think is just like awesome. And my mom is always like, "Show your curves, show your curves," but I love not showing my curves, and people will be like, "This is the time when you are fit," and I'm like, "No, like I want to feel like powerful sometimes." And I love a power suit.
Yes, a power suit and a power squat. I love these both. I love this so much. I'm so glad you shared this. This is like I could talk about this all day, but we're kind of coming to the end of this. So I want to wrap up by kind of going back to your story to conclude. Obviously, that's over and you're in a healthy relationship. But if let's say like it's not a do-over, but like if you were able to say something to this person, I don't know if you guys are still friends, but more as a nebulous like idea out there for any girl or woman who's going through that insecurity, like what would you say? Like now knowing what you know, in that moment, like, is there anything you would do differently or, you know, tell him?
I would say that there's nothing for you to be embarrassed about, and that it's just like more showing of who you are. And what I realized is in past relationships, I'll try to be like the perfect version of myself, like the perfect thing that society wants me to be. But I've realized that like the reason, you know, when people are like, I fell for them, like I've never met someone like them, like there's an X factor I can't describe. Like that X factor is you, like when you let go and like accidentally just like be yourself. And if farting while he's going down on you is that, then fully embrace it. And like this guy actually like liked me more after, I think. Like in the long run, like he wasn't scared, he didn't leave me. Like, so for girls who are scared of it happening and think it's like their worst nightmare, it happened to me and I survived to tell the tale. And
He's just like feeding you cheese every time you hang out now. He's like,
yeah, he just like feeds me grapes and cheese. And I farted out, and we would live happily ever after, but he moved to Australia. So that's that.
Gotcha. Well, I thought that was really beautiful, and I'm glad you shared it. Hannah, where can people follow you? Do you want to plug your socials?
Yeah, people can follow me on Instagram at beingberns, BeingBernz. And that's also my Twitter. And then watch Summer House if you want to watch some, like, it's actually a fun binge watch. I'm seasons 3 and 4. And then I have a new show on Bravo coming out on the 27th, September 27th.
Oh, so
Bravo's
soon.
chat room. Yeah, so check all that out.
That's
and
awesome.
Listen to my podcast, Berning In Hell.
Yes, check it out.
Please, I'd love to have you on.
I would love that. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I talk to people about their demons, so it's BERN. So yeah.
Cool, and you can follow this podcast at Tell Me Anything Pod, and follow me at Larissa T on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah.